Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast. As we're always broadcasting from the Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call Anidjar and Lavine today, and you get more details on them on my website at markmosesshow.com. And join me right now to talk some NFL football here for a Friday. This guy does a great job. Yes, is a former NFL player, and he's got to talk about his book as well with me. I talked to him during the Super Bowl in February, and it's great to have him on again. He is former, NFL quarterback Erik Kramer. Erik, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Was that a good enough intro, or was I good-looking, amazing breakdancer? What am I missing, Erik? That's the question.
Well, minus the breakdancing part, yeah. Superb intro. Thank you.
Let's start with your book, which I know back at the Super Bowl you're really promoting. And I'm going to bring it up on the screen here real quick so people could see it. The Ultimate Comeback. And I know you wrote this with William. If you could tell us about this to start, then we'll get into some football headlines. Erik, take it away. What's this book about exactly?
Well, the title speaks for itself. I've kind of come from Nowhereville, and to end up landing in the NFL was a dream come true. I didn't get recruited out of high school. I didn't even play quarterback in high school. I wasn't good enough. And I played safety. And then ended up working my way, going to junior college, and then became the ACC Player of the Year at North Carolina State my senior year, and then went undrafted. And but football, kind of found its way to me after that. And then, but there's much more to this story than just football. In fact, football plays a minor part in the story itself, and it's more about kind of where I came from and who my parents were a bit, and some of the imperfectness, I guess, along the way that I had to acknowledge and eventually grow out of and sort of overcome.
Why did you want to write this book then?
Initially, I think it was, I tried to write it as a love letter to Dylan and Griffin, my two sons, and give them a little history, that they might not have had of me. And what turned out to be that grew into something where I've gotten comments from friends of mine to people I've never met before, where there's some commonalities that in some way it's helped somebody. So that makes me feel good.
How long did it take? I mean, it's about you, which I know it's like, how did you come up with the material? No, it's about my life. How long did that process take from let's put this together, let's write this, publish it? What was that timeline like?
Looking back, and when it was I'd say William Croyle, first of all, is a brilliant writer. And apparently he read an article written by Dan Wetzel in Yahoo Sports and contacted my girlfriend, Anna Durgan, and not me. And he contacted her to see if I would want to collaborate on a book together. So I had never met him ever. And so eventually we spoke, and he's written, at the time, I think he had written, 13 or 14 books or something. And one of them, I said, well, give me the name of one. I'll read it. And he said, well, I don't know which one to pick. And so I ended up reading a book of his called Angel in the Rubble. And it was about a woman who was the last survivor of the 9/11 attacks. And so you could tell in a couple of paragraphs, he kind of knows what he's doing. And so I think how long did it take? I don't know. This is a complete guess. I would say 6 months, maybe. Something like that.
I like the story of your girlfriend. Some guy Dan's calling me. You're like, who's this? That's awesome, dude. How can we get the book? Online? Is it in stores?
Yeah, you can go to my website, actually. It's erikkramer12.com. And you can purchase it there. There's, you can autograph a copy if you'd like. You can go through Amazon. That's pretty much it.
I need the autograph one. I hope you know that. I need one personally. I'll be selfish here. Yeah, I'll bring it up one more time. Yes. Here is, if I can do this real quick. Yeah, here. The Ultimate Comeback, the story of Erik Kramer. It's a great read. Check it out online or get it through stores. Go to his website for more information. Yeah, again, I appreciate coming on. All right. Are you ready to talk NFL with me? I have questions for you. Are you ready?
Anytime. Yep.
All right. Let's start with this because I go over this with every single one who comes on with me. That 2024 class of quarterbacks where it's Caleb Williams and it's Jane Daniels, and we saw Drake May last night light it up 9-2. When you look at that class overall, what are your thoughts as a former NFL quarterback and how all these guys are lining up now in the NFL?
I'm kind of thinking they're all pretty good, and I think Bo Nix was part of that class too, right?
Yes.
And so I saw Bo Nix in high school, and he was part of an Elite 11 group that I went down and helped coach, just the last 11 or 12 of them or something. And he didn't win it, but he should have. And then, but I think overall, there's not been a flop in the bunch, and which is unusual. And then Caleb, I think, has had the furthest to go, mainly because when he started out, it wasn't with this coaching staff they currently have. It was with the previous one under Matt Eberflus, which we all know was a disaster. And so I think now that now that he, like the others, have a competent offensive staff around him, not just the head coach, but a complete staff around him, as well as an improved roster around him, I think they're starting to look like a team now. And Caleb, it's almost like he hasn't been perfect, but he hasn't had to be. And I think, and just him personally, I think the growth, his best days are ahead of him, which is great for the Bears. And if you speak of the others with Drake May and Jaden Daniels, I mean, they look like MVP guys. Jaden Daniels obviously has been hurt, but Drake May that's no surprise to me because I played against his dad in college, and and his other brother, was it Luke, was an unbelievable, great basketball player at Carolina. And then, Drake, he's just a smart, good, very athletic young guy that knows how to play this game.
You bring up Bo Nix. You saw him in Elite 11 camp. From your perspective as a guy that played, and this is a high schooler, were there things you saw just like, okay, this guy's got potential? Like, do you do that? What? Oh, yes. So at that level, as a 17-year-old, what do you see where you're like, okay, he's got a shot here?
So back in the mid 2000s, there was Mike McCartney, Bill McCartney's son, was a scout with the Bears, and he then became an agent. And guys that would be getting ready for the draft, like Mike Kafka and others, we would, get together and kind of get prepared for the draft. And then Mike, of course, made it with the Eagles, and for a few more off seasons would come out, and eventually I started working with guys like Carson Palmer and others. And I remember going down to, it was the Home Depot Center back then, but it's where the Chargers started out playing. And it was I brought a bunch of guys down, and Carson was there, and Drew Brees was there. And Drew Brees it was his early days with the New Orleans Saints. So Marcus Colson, everybody. And then it turned into like going from running routes to then 7-on-7. And it didn't take long to figure out who was in charge. Drew Brees was in charge that day. And Bo Nix has that. And you could see that as a high school guy. And so and obviously he's got, talent, and but he was always very focused throughout the 3 days there. And you could just tell that, that was unusual compared to the rest.
I like it. We're here with Erik Kramer. You brought up Caleb Williams a second ago about being comfortable, the coaching, the talent around. As a former NFL quarterback, where, look, you played a high level with Detroit, made it to an NFC championship game. Then you went to the Bears. You had big numbers, 94, 95, especially 95. When did it start going in your mind like, okay, I got things around me. I'm comfortable now. Do you get those feelings with what you're saying about Caleb Williams?
Absolutely. And one of the things that, comes with is once you start feeling comfortable with what not only your offense is doing, but how defenses work and how coverages work and the accuracy and the ball placement and all that comes. The scary part is Caleb's not even there yet. And when your feet and eyes start working together in unison, like as you move through the progression, you begin to work in time and in sync and in rhythm, and that's how it works. And then you can start isolating a key defender like in his own coverage and always making him wrong. And again, those are things that you'll see every now and then out of Caleb, but like right now, it's like every fourth or fifth play is like a 3-act drama, and he's throwing into double coverage when one guy is running wide open that he doesn't even see. And so that's what I mean. I think like of the three guys that you mentioned, and if you throw Bo Nix in there as a fourth, even though Caleb got drafted first overall, I think he had the furthest to go. But he had the furthest to go mainly because he was never in a structured offense. It kind of reminds me of Kyler Murray. And, Kyler Murray's been doing Kyler Murray stuff since he was in high school. But then, nobody gets a clause put in their contract that says you have to study. So clearly that's an indication of, I know it didn't work out, whatever, but clearly Arizona Cardinals are kind of seeing what happens when you aren't prepared. And I think Caleb came out of that environment, and he's only now learning this game at that level.
Okay. Slowing down in your head. Then they talk about this in all of sports, where the game is slowed down. Was there a moment in your NFL career, as you said, an undrafted guy showing up? Was it in Detroit? Like, was there a game? When did it slow down for you, Erik, in your head?
I'd say yes, in Detroit. And the way I would compare it would be the first team that I was an undrafted free agent out of NC State. I went to the New Orleans Saints, and I didn't know anything about that. I mean, nothing about the offense I was running or the defense I was seeing. And so it was complete guesswork as to where to go and what to do. And fast forward a few years to Detroit, and that all changed. And the reason that all changed is because of Kevin Wildenhouse, who at that time, he's retired now, but he was a therapist, and that I began, and this is back in 1990, when back then I was on injury reserve. So back then, when you're on injury reserve, you're on injury reserve for the whole year. And so even in practice, I couldn't get my brain to slow down. And then after, working with Kevin, that all changed. And then when I got thrust into playing the following year, like you just mentioned, the game really slowed down, but it wasn't the game that slowed down. It was me. It was my own mind and my own being able to manage my own emotions and thought process. And that's what slowed down. And then, but to answer specifically how that happened, Kevin helped me see the game or play by play before it ever even happened. And being able to, kind of throughout the week, every day, spend some time kind of in a relaxed environment where you can envision slowly what's about to happen. And then when it happens, there it is. You already saw it.
What about the clock in your head, though? Where, okay, I got 4 or 5 seconds, they're going to tear my head off. What's that experience like for all the fans watching this right now?
Yeah, 4 or 5 seconds would be gravy. That's about twice as much as you have. So I think like that goes back again to it's the whole thing is very choreographed. The footwork for the drop for the quarterback has to measure up with the depth of the routes for the receivers, the blocking schemes, all of that. And so you learn how to do your job and trust everyone else to do theirs. And then you just work with everybody throughout the week and you get better over time.
Is it better to take a hit early, get it out of the system, or is every hit just as bad as the last one?
No hits work great too. So, I don't know that there's ever like, hey, I'm glad I got it done early and then I'm awake. Well, I never felt that way. I just, the hits are going to come when they come. That's part of the game.
We're here there, Kramer. We're here on a Friday. I appreciate coming on. I'm a big fan. I've told you this before. I'm still angry about 1995. So the regular season finale, I'm there with my dad. You guys played the Eagles in terrible weather. You beat Ricky Waters in that team. And then I think what happened was, and you'll probably know this better than me, you win the game, but then I think you had to have the Niners beat the Falcons later that day. Is that what happened, Erik?
That was the necessary scenario. And somehow, some way, Bobby Hebert with the Falcons engineered something to happen and they won. And which, at that time, I don't know how many times in a decade Atlanta beat San Francisco, but that day they did. And so, we got, knocked out of the playoffs, but you can always look back and say, well, had we won this game and that game and so on. But unfortunately, we didn't make the playoffs. And that day the season ended. Yeah, but I do remember that.
Even in hindsight, you didn't make the playoffs. Was that one of your best statistical seasons as a quarterback in the NFL, that 95 team?
Yeah, I would say so. And, I didn't miss a play that season. And I would say statistically, I guess if you had to put put numbers like as the lead way of analyzing things, I would say that was my best statistical year.
But then if you go back to 91, when you have that high-powered offense with the Lions, when you give the ball to Barry Sanders, are you like, for the rest of your career, I wish I could just keep giving the ball to Barry Sanders? Is that how you look at
it? He was pretty amazing. And I remember a game we played against Indianapolis that year. And it was in Indy. And Rodney was playing, Rodney Pete was starting that game. And he hands the ball. We had 2 running plays. We had a draw and an off-tackle slant. We didn't even have a tight end. And so he hands the ball to Barry on an off-tackle slant to the right. And then Barry cuts back against the grain and goes left. And this is behind the line of scrimmage. And before Barry even crossed the line of scrimmage, I think the ball was probably hiked on their 40-yard line or something. And Barry's not even back to the line of scrimmage, and Rodney's putting his hands up in the air like it's a touchdown.
He already knew. He already knew what was going to happen. So the question then is, does Barry Sanders today, I still think he'd be great any generation, but would he be more a modified back where he'd be catching more balls out of the backfield? Like, how do you look at an offense now when you have a guy like that?
I think the closest running back these days to someone like Barry would be I can't think of his name right now. The one from Penn State that plays for the Eagles.
Saquon
Barkley. And Saquon's probably a little more powerful of a runner and probably a better pass receiver. But in terms of his overall athleticism, I think he's probably the closest comparison that I can think of. But so if you're asking, could Barry play and be Barry back in the 90s, could Barry be that today? Yes, he could. At any time, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now. Yeah.
Do you get, my brother and I were talking about this, do you get jealous that today it feels like it's all offense and it's like, we want points, let's throw it 40 times a game? Does that upset you? And maybe every former NFL quarterback, do you feel that way, Erik?
No. I think the game always evolves, and I think if you take it in chunks of 10-year periods, the game, the idea is to attract fans to watch it. And then the way fans watch it, they don't want to watch 6-3 games. They want to watch 36-33 games. And so, rules favor the offense always. So that's just the nature of things. But, I mean, you see what goes on there. There are some vicious hits today. I mean, crazy vicious.
You don't want any part of that. I don't blame you, Erik. I don't. So for a quarter,
there were some vicious hits back then too, but I mean that's just part of the game.
If you watch the I can't even talk, the Ronnie Lott highlights, I was like, can you even make these tackles today? I don't even know if you can.
Probably not. No, he'd probably owe the NFL money by the end of the year.
You're absolutely right. All right, one with this. Is it good for a quarterback to throw it 40 or 45 times a game? I say no. I don't think
probably not good for longevity. There was a game I remember, I forget what year, but I was with the Bears and we played the Jets, and I think I threw the ball 60 times or something like that. And I think the best game plans are when there's a good mix of run and pass and play action. And, you might throw the ball 30 to 35 times, but there's plenty of times when your defense is playing well and you're running the ball well, and you might throw the ball 18 times. Doesn't matter. Just be efficient when you do it.
And don't get hit. That's what I've learned today. Stay clean. Dude, I love, you know what it is? Like when I cover college football, and we're constantly, well, this guy's a 4-star. This guy's a 5-star.
Oh, yeah, right.
NIL, he deserves it. Dude, again, you started this conversation. All right, I had no offers. I went here, and then I went undrafted. That's insane, dude. Do you still sometimes walk around like, I can't believe this actually happened, that I played at a high level?
Yeah, well, yes, I do. But also, there's a lot of people pick a sport, it doesn't matter. But a lot of guys learn how to play as you go, and you're not always born with the greatest gifts. And typically those guys make the best coaches. And so I've been fortunate enough that I learned not only how to play, but I learned how to teach what I know so that other people can benefit from that too.
It's a great point. Yeah, the book, let me make sure I bring this up one more time here. The Ultimate Comeback. Yes, the story of Erik Kramer, former NFL quarterback. It is a must to read. Especially, look, all the craziness in the world, I'm just going to say this, right? It's good that you're out there telling these stories and trying to help other people, because I think people need it, especially right now. So I hope I can buy the book and you could sign it for me, because I'd love to have it in my house, Erik.
I would love for you to have it in your house. And like I said earlier, anybody can find it on my website, erikkramer12.com.
Erik, thank you so much for your help. Enjoy the games this weekend. I hope I can get you on again sometime. All right.
Always. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate everything. Have a good one.